We welcome you to the 47th inaugural lecture of the great university east of the Niger, the premier university, INAUGURAL State University of Science and Technology, holding at College of Medicine, ESUT, Backland, Enugu. Today we are going to have a professor of pediatrics be talking to us concerning a topic that has an issue within the society, from cradle to crisis, advancing pediatric survival in our challenged healthcare landscape. Today, Professor Ikenna Ndo Kingsley will be giving us an insight on the science emergencies in child health care, why access to care fails when needs arises most. We'll be digesting the innovative strategies to protect our youngest citizens. Professor Ikenna Ndo Kingsley is a leading voice in pediatrics and will give a good insights and exposures on this crisis we have among the younger citizens of Nigeria. I welcome you to this great and historic event. This lecture will redefine pediatric care in Nigeria. I welcome you once again to the College of Medicine Auditorium, ESUT, Backland, Enugu, where we are having the 47th inaugural lecture of this great institution. I welcome you once again. Today, we are going to have a professor of pediatrics, Professor Ikenna Ndo. I welcome you once again. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we can cite the procession is on. The procession is on, and I can cite the procession being led by the Vice Chancellor of this great institution, distinguished Professor Aloysius Michael Okolie, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, distinguished Professor Chikenwaha, leading the procession for the 47th inaugural lecture of ENUGU State University of Science and Technology. Notably, I can cite the presence of the former acting Vice Chancellor, of this great institution, distinguished Professor Charles Eze. I welcome you, sir, former acting Vice Chancellor. I acknowledge your presence. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have the presence of the Secretary General of West Africa College of Surgeons. I have Professor Fred Ugumba. He's here and part of the procession. I acknowledge his presence, and of course, the chairman of the Nigeria Medical Association Enugu branch. He is already seated, Dr. Sunday Okafor. I acknowledge your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the procession is on. May we be on our feet to welcome the procession for the 47th inaugural lecture of ENUGU State University of Science and Technology, holding here live at College of Medicine Auditorium, ENUGU State University of Science and Technology, Parkland, Enugu. The procession is on. I can cite Professor Adonai Okichukwu Okonkwo, the Director of Industrial Training, and of course, I can cite in the procession the librarian Dr. Ogwo Ozamaka, and of course the bursar Sir Ambrose Ugo, part of the procession, and of course the provost of College of Medicine, Professor Uchenna Ebuchi, who is a distinguished professor who delivered the 46th inaugural lecture of this great institution, attending to the minor of the minors, Professor Uchenna Ebuchi, the provost of College of Medicine in State University of Science and Technology, Parkland, Enugu. It's part of the procession, and the procession is on. I can cite the CMD of Parkland being part of the procession, Professor BAF Ungo. He's part of the procession, and of course, the council member, Professor Ikenna Chuko, is part of the procession. I acknowledge his presence. So, ladies and gentlemen, the procession is on, and we are welcoming them to the auditorium. The arrival, we are going to have the national anthem, and after the national anthem, we have the opening prayer, and we continue from there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the procession for the 47th inaugural lecture of Enugu State University of Science and Technology. I welcome you once again. Thank you.
Once again, I welcome you to the Premier Universities of the Nation. I welcome you to the State University of Technology. I welcome you to the 47th inaugural lecture of this great institution. Today we'll be having a professor of the science. We'll be giving us insights. Once again, I welcome you, the able Vice Chancellor of this great institution, Professor Aloysius Michael Sannaogo, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Chike Moha. We welcome you. The Provost, College of Medicine, ESUT Parkland, I welcome you, distinguished Professor Uchenna Ebochi. You are welcome. Equally, I welcome the Registrar, Sir Ambrose Ubo Ojofo. Equally, I acknowledge the presence of the Librarian, Dr. Osamaka Ogo. You are welcome. Of course, we welcome the Council Member, Professor Ikenna Chuko. We acknowledge your presence. The able Vice Chancellor, permit me to acknowledge the man of the moment, the inaugural lecturer of today's event, Professor Ikenna Ndo. I acknowledge your presence. And I humbly acknowledge the CMD ESUT Parkland, Professor B.A. Ungo. You are welcome. I humbly acknowledge the acting chancellor.
Thank you. We apologize for the technical issues. We acknowledge the presence of the former Acting Vice Chancellor of Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Professor Charles Eze. You are welcome. We equally welcome the Chairman of Nigeria Medical Association, Enugu, Dr. Sunday Okafor. I acknowledge your presence. The Honorable Vice Chancellor, may I inform you of the presence of the Secretary General of West African College of Surgeons, Professor Fred. We are present. The past inaugural lecturers, including Professor M.O.V.N. Ezameni, Professor Jude Denta, Professor Chike Anibese, Professor J.O. Mbada, Professor M.N. Bajogo, Professor I.M. Obo. The Chief Medical Director of Prime Care, the Chief Medical Director of Prime Hospital, Enugu, Nigeria, Emeritus Professor Ibe, I welcome you. Now I equally acknowledge a Professor of Anatomy from University of Nigeria. I welcome you, Professor Emmanuel Obi. I welcome you. And of course, we have the deans, we have the Dean of Clinical Sciences, Professor S.O.C. Nweze. I welcome you. The Dean of Postgraduate Studies, Professor C.C. Chime. And of course, the Dean of Physical Sciences. I welcome you, Professor J.Z. Ugo, and the Dean of Clinical Medicine. I welcome you, Professor Okafor UH, and of course, the Dean of Applied Medical Sciences, Professor Afam Humphrey. I welcome you. The Honorable Vice Chancellor, may I inform you that we have the presence of the Director of Sports, Dr. Professor Rita Ngozi Ane. And of course, we have the Professor of Pediatrics again, Professor Ilete. I acknowledge your presence. And of course, the Vice Chancellor, may I inform you of the presence of the former Provost, the immediate past Provost of ESUT College of Medicine, Professor Frank Ezugo. I welcome you. I welcome all our guests, including the Reverend Father Clement Okonkwo and the Vani Nono. Equally, may I welcome the Director of National Pilgrimage Center of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, Ugogonike, Very Reverend Father Desmond Frank Ebule. You are welcome. CSS. Thank you.
on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Aloysius Michaels, you will soon join us from the government house. You know, today is second year anniversary of our executive government. So as far as the man is through, he will join us here. Meanwhile, he asked me to stand in for him. Well, today's inaugural lecture, which is 47th, by our professor, Professor Ikenandu. The university is making a formal presentation of this professor to the academic community and to the public. When he comes up here, he's expected to tell us why he was made a professor and what made him a professor. He's expected to present his innovative research results, not lecture in the classroom. Innovative research results which he presented to the university and which university forwarded to external assessors that granted that professorship to him. So he's coming here to inaugurate his professorship so that the whole world will now know him and recognize him as a distinguished professor. It is a milestone of his academic career. So we are joining him to celebrate, and we pray that within 1 hour he will do that. All of us will listen to what he's going to say. We have other inaugural lecturers here. If he merits to be admitted into the league, we will admit him. If not, we will go back to professor with a small p. With a small p. So we want to welcome everybody within and outside ESUT, and we promise you that our professor is a well-prepared academic, and he will present his papers to show that. So the topic he's going to present will be an aggregate of all the research works he has done over the years. So you see a different title or topic that will capture everything he has done before in his research, so that we will now show to the public that he is a distinguished professor. So I want to welcome everybody on behalf of the Vice Chancellor. But to talk about it will not take more than 1 hour. He will present that. And the MC, I hope you will monitor that. Just 1 hour, so that he will present to all of us here. So we thank God. So welcome.
We can do better than this.
On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I declare this event open.
That's a wonderful one from the Able Deputy Vice Chancellor of this great institution, Professor Chikewala. Thank you. The Able Vice Chancellor, the outstanding Vice Chancellor 2024 Nigeria, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor.
Mic check.
With the account permission, it's time to invite the inaugural lecturer of today, the 47th inaugural lecturer of ESUT, to step to his seat as I invite us to give him a clapping ovation as he walks to his seat. Professor Ikenandu, a professor of pediatrics, a leading voice in pediatrics. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You may get seated. The Able Vice Chancellor, with your kind permission, may I now invite the LOC chairman of this, of the organizing committee for Professor Ikenandu to step up for the citation of a professor of pediatrics. I invite you, Rotarian Doctor Joy Onya. J-O-T, Onya, thank you. J-O-T, Onya, thank you. As he steps up, may I now invite Professor Ikenna Ndo to step out for the citation. Thank you.
The Pro-Chancellor, our beloved Vice-Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, with your kind permission and in line with established protocols, I now have the honor of presenting the profile of today's inaugural lecturer, Professor Ikenna Kingsley Ndo. Born in 1970 in Nsukka to Paul and Alice Ndo, Ikenna began a remarkable journey of dedication to medicine and service. He attended Federal Government College, Enugu, completing his senior secondary certificate in 1988. He obtained his MBBS degree from the prestigious University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 1995, and later became a fellow of the West African College of Physicians in 2013. Professor Ndo has built a distinguished career in pediatrics, both as a clinician and as an academic. He currently serves as Professor of Pediatrics at Enugu State University of Science and Technology and consultant pediatrician at ESUT Teaching Hospital. Notably, he was the pioneer unit head of the Children's Emergency Room at ESUT Teaching Hospital, a role he held with distinction for over a decade, laying a strong foundation for pediatric emergency care in the institution. His fellowship dissertation on low birth weight newborns, along with participation in numerous newborn trainings, other programs, instilled in him a lifelong passion for neonatology, a passion he has continued to pursue through research and personal financial investment in neonatal care, even as fate led him into the equally demanding field of emergency pediatrics. His academic journey reflects steady advancement from lecturer 1 to senior lecturer, then reader, and now a professor. He has presented scientific papers at national conferences, authored and co-authored many books, and published over 120 peer-reviewed articles. He has supervised dissertations for both the West African College of Physicians and the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria, and has served as an external examiner at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. In 2022, he was invited here to deliver the guest lecture at the 11th ESUCOM induction ceremony. Beyond teaching and clinical work, Professor Ikenna Ndo has served with dedication in administrative roles. He is currently the Associate Dean of the Faculty of Clinical Medicine. He was formerly acting head of the Department of Pediatrics, chairman of a Students' Disciplinary Committee, hostel warden of the Male Clinical Hostel, and chairman of the Selection Committee for Students' Cafeteria Caterers. Ladies and gentlemen, this distinguished gentleman played a vital role in upholding the ethics and integrity of research. He currently chairs the Health Research Ethics Committee at ESUT, providing critical oversight to ensure ethical standards in research within the institution. At the national level, Professor Ndo has contributed to health policy and training through the Federal Ministry of Health. He has served as a national trainer in key child health initiatives, including pediatrics HIV/AIDS care, the essential newborn care course, and the programmatic management of childhood tuberculosis. He's an active member of professional organizations, including the Nigerian Medical Association, the Pediatric Association of Nigeria. Suffice it to say that he had served as secretary of the Emergency Pediatrics Subcommittee of PAN. He's also a member of the Nigerian Society of Neonatal Medicine, the Society of Emergency Medicine Practitioners of Nigeria, and he maintains the licensure with the General Medical Council in the United Kingdom. This means that Professor Ndo could decide to practice in the United Kingdom, but for his passion to provide quality health care for the Nigerian child, he has stayed back to do just that. In addition, he serves as editor and advisor to the Journal of Clinical and Biomedical Practice, further advancing medical scholarship and publication. Outside of his professional commitments, Ndo enjoys a rich personal life. He's an avid supporter of Chelsea Football Club. Just last night, his team won the Conference Cup. He finds relaxation in gardening and expresses his reflective style through writing poetry. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's lecturer is a physician, a scholar, an educator, administrator, and a mentor to many, deeply committed to improving child health outcomes and shaping the next generation of medical professionals. It is with great pride that I present to you a perfect gentleman, an erudite scholar, a dedicated pediatrician, a devout Christian. The 47th inaugural lecture of the Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Professor Ndo.
To make his presentation.
so close. This side. But it's not coming from there.
Don't worry, just calm down. I'm warming up. Just calm down. I know this I need to keep the moment. Today's time, I'll celebrate my ex-expert. And as mentioned by JT, this is the month Chelsea came back from the wilderness. After 3 years, they are now champions of Europe. More important, more miracle, one of our lectures prices. Presence and attention to this lecture titled, I hope you're seeing it there, From Cradle to Crisis, Advancing Pediatric Survival in a Challenged Healthcare Landscape. Everybody here has some connection to children. Either you're a parent, an intending parent, a grandparent, or just someone supportive of children in society. So it is my prayer that something I say today will resonate with you, or better still, shock you into providing better support for these children entrusted to our care. For the discussion today, I've structured this lecture into these 7 parts. We'll start with the preamble. We're going to end with the acknowledgements, hopefully within 1 hour. So fasten your seatbelts as I'm fastening mine, and please lend me your ears. This lecture is deeply personal to me because my work gives my life meaning and purpose. From birth to adolescence, our children face so many challenges ranging from neonatal neglect to adolescent vulnerabilities. So the journey of our children from the cradle to the crisis period is not just a theme, it's not just a fanciful play of words. Some of you may know I dabble in poetry. This is not poetry. It is a lived reality for the children of Nigeria. Today we're going to explore how to change that narrative. How did I arrive at this topic? I kept asking myself, my close friends know, for so many months, how do I merge my experiences in neonatology and pediatric emergency medicine into something that will give a meaningful story today? I call this my Einstein dilemma, in deference to his ambitious quest to form a unified field theory, merging the fundamental forces of nature into one simple equation. I believe we have physicists here who can relate to what I'm saying. My search, equally ambitious, given the parameters of scale, Mona Einstein, ultimately led me to the theme of this lecture, the cradle representing the neonatal period, the beginning of life. Is this still working? Hello? The cradle representing the newborn period, beginning of life, and emergencies, the crises that threaten this life. So this lecture is not just going to be a summary of my research, some of my research. It is a call to action for better systems, policies, and care for our children. But before we dive into the data, let's look at some key terms we're going to use throughout this talk. Neonatal mortality rate, that is the deaths within the first 28 days per 1,000 live births, on the 5 mortality rate, deaths before the age of 5 per 1,000 live births. And these are key indicators that provide critical insights into child health in any population, and they serve as a basis for tracking progress in hitting national and global targets. Finally, in the context of emergency care, the context of healthcare, an emergency is any condition that needs immediate care to prevent not just death. That is the little emphasis I want to make. Emergency is not you must die. Not just death, but to prevent serious harm to either bodily function or structure. Is that clear? So it's not what we see in Nollywood, blood pouring from the head, you're born or emergency. No. Anything can leave permanent damage afterwards, even if you survive. Now, section 1 is going to deal with barriers to children surviving, as illustrated. Can you see the bullet? Can you see the bullet on the? Excellent. So, as illustrated by this child trying to scale a brick wall, I use a brick wall as a metaphor for the man-made obstacles facing our children. And logically, if they are man-made, they can be dismantled by man, if we have the will and the resolve. Our children are born into a strained health system that reduces their chances of survival. From newborns to older children, they still die from conditions that are predictable, preventable, and controllable. I call these the PPCs. It may not be original to me, but that's the mnemonic that comes to my mind. Conditions like malaria, diarrhea, aphosisa, killing our children. It's unacceptable because we have the knowledge, we have the tools to save lives. There are systemic barriers like poverty, social inequities, keep blocking progress, particularly in rural areas where over 50% of this country still reside. So our goal in this section is to name some of those barriers so that we can start crafting solutions. We begin at the cradle, we said before, symbolizes first 28 days of life. Is it still working? First 28 days of life, represented by the cradle. While high-income countries support this critical period, this critical transition period in anybody's life, they support it with technology and care. Our newborns still die from things that can be prevented and controlled. So the question is no longer whether we want to know what is wrong. The question is not what is the problem, because we know. what we should ask is, why do these problems persist? Problems that have solutions. Let's see what brings our babies into the newborn unit. In our study in the special care baby unit of ESUT, our data revealed these top 4 causes. I hope we can see is it working? The bullet. All right, excellent. Perinatal asphyxia, low birth weight, neonatal sepsis, neonatal jaundice. These are the top leading causes of admissions into a newborn unit. Compared to high-income countries, our admission patterns reflect basic failure of perinatal care. And the high occurrence of these conditions we just listed tells us that we need to urgently address system-level problems. Let's begin with birth asphyxia, big name for the fact that a child cannot breathe at birth, and this can kill or leads to serious brain damage. In our study, we found an incidence of 12.8 per 1,000 live births. 76% of these babies had moderate to severe encephalopathy or some degree of brain damage. So we need timely resuscitation and monitoring of these babies to prevent this damage from happening. Another leading cause of admission is low birth weight. In our study, we found they made up almost 60% of admissions in our special care baby unit. And these babies are particularly vulnerable because their organs are immature. To give it perspective, when you open it up, see that everything is fragile in there. That's what happens to our newborn babies. They still need time to grow, to mature. We identified some of these morbidities or illnesses: recurrent apnea, which means the baby stops breathing; hypothermia, babies get cold; hypoglycemia, blood sugar, we all are familiar with this term, blood sugar drops; and neonatal sepsis. These are all issues that face our newborn babies, and the data reinforces the need for weight-specific protocols in newborn care. Now, recognizing the scale of the burden placed by low birth weight babies, there is serious concern. How do we identify this category of babies in places that have no weighing scales? It may be shocking for you to know that weighing scales are not available in most hospitals. So, with that in mind, for my fellowship dissertation, I explored the use of chest circumference measurements as a proxy or correlate for birth weight. And it showed the strongest correlation amongst so many other measurements with birth weight, enabling reliable detection of low birth weight using validated cutoff points. This led to the NOAA tape. The acronym stands for my humble self and my research colleagues. Ndo is me. Uchenna Eguchi, my boss. And the 47th, sorry sir. And may I say 46th, the 46th inaugural lecturer. And I can't find him here. Isaac Ashinobi, the humble man, all the way at the back. He is the A. And hopefully in the future we'll give him his own number. Say amen to that. Now this tape can be used by anybody as far as you can identify colors. And it's based on the simple principles for road traffic lights. When you're driving and the light turns green, what do? You stop, you go or stop. You move now. If it's red, you stop. If it's yellow, what do? You wait to know whether it will go red or green, because you don't want wahala from MOT. I've paid them 25,000 so many times, so I'm very careful. So similarly, the same principle applies to this tape. Green, if you put a tape around the baby's chest and it falls on the green portion, it means the baby can go home. As far as other things are fine. If the color code you follow on is red, It means what? Applying the same principles. It means this baby has to either be admitted if they are in a proper center or referred. One of the first things we are taught in medical school is what? Refer any case you cannot handle. If the color is yellow, it means you need to monitor before you take a decision. We got a grant for this tape in 2018, and I must commend NOTAP, the office responsible for granting patents, for their willingness to assist once you submit a proposal. I didn't need to know anybody, make any connections during my trips to Abuja to get this patent granted. So I encourage you to explore their office. They have so many things to offer. And if I'm not mistaken, either a week or 2 weeks ago, they visited our university for discussions. You can correct me later if I'm wrong. So let's look at another leading cause of neonatal admissions. That is neonatal sepsis, that's infections in newborns. In our 10-year review, we saw that Klebsiella and staph were top isolates in neonatal sepsis, jointly accounting for over 63% of infections. And there's widespread ampicillin resistance. Ampicillin is a commonly used antibiotic in our environment. And the resistance patterns underscore the urgent need for us to review empirical treatment guidelines. And importantly, something I'm very bitter about, over-the-counter status of antibiotics in this country. I hope some pharmacists are here. Anybody can walk into a pharmacy store and pick up antibiotics without a prescription. That is criminal. Anywhere else in this world, even in sub-Saharan Africa, and I'm speaking from experience, this leads to the problem of antibiotic resistance. Until you have that problem, you won't understand what we're doing to ourselves. Forgive me, I have a problem. We'll discuss that another day. Because otherwise, advocacy from now. Last but not the least, neonatal jaundice, which is yellow discoloration of the white part of the eyes. If you can, I don't know whether this is showing. Is a pointer showing there? Oh, excellent. So it is clear these babies, the white part of the eyes are yellow. Even the skin, blanch the skin, you notice there's yellow discoloration. In our study, only 13% of caregivers noticed jaundice within 24 hours. The rest observed it within 2 to 7 days, giving an average delay of 2.8 days. And these delays are dangerous because jaundice, if not managed, will lead to kernicterus. That is a big name for brain damage. Irreparable, nothing can be done after that. And it is pathetic that this can be prevented. Once you bring a jaundice baby to us, we'll take care of it. But if you come too late. So, one of the core things in this lecture is going to be, once your baby is sick, bring the child to the hospital. We know people are scared of cost implications and all that. But you'll be shocked what a hospital can do for you. We'll expand on that as we progress. In another study, we looked at maternal knowledge and care-seeking behavior concerning neonatal jaundice, and only 38% of mothers correctly identified jaundice in their infants. There are a lot of misbeliefs about the etiology or the causes of neonatal jaundice out there. Some people say it's from blood excess, some people say dietary content, spiritual attacks, and so on and so forth. These are dangerous beliefs. And there are many popular dangerous home remedies. We know them. Near glucose water, exposed to sunlight, drop breast milk into the eyes, and and so on. These figures reveal serious gaps, dangerous gaps in maternal health education, and highlight the need for improved messaging, even if it's during antenatal clinic visits or postnatal clinic visits. Postnatal, I think we call 6 weeks. These are opportunities to educate mothers. They were not getting it right. We've looked at common diseases that bring babies to the newborn, jaundice, sepsis, low birth weight, and asphyxia. Now let's look at what kills them when they get to us in the hospital. 1990, where were we? Had a neonatal mortality rate in 1990, that's 35 years ago, 213, 50 deaths per 1,000 live births. After 35 years, we managed to drop to 34 deaths per 1,000 live births. And as the graph is indicating, suddenly we are regressing back to 41 per 1,000 live births. I don't like mathematics, so let me assist my fellow mathematics haters. Let's put this in perspective. When we say 41 deaths per 1,000, using the annual birth rate of 5.2 million in Nigeria, that translates to 180,000 babies dying every year. Now, keep that number in mind, 180,000. If you start counting from now to the end of this lecture, you'll not hit that number. Projected estimations have us at 31 deaths per 1,000 by the year 2030. And even by 2050, we may not get to the SDG target of 12 deaths per 1,000. 2050, 25 years from now, we still can't hit the target at the rate of progress we are making now. High-income countries still operate in single-digit numbers. Finland, a country that's not up to the size of whichever state you want to think of Nigeria, their neonatal mortality rate is 1.6 per 1,000. Are we in the same world? I wonder. Beyond these numbers we've been throwing around, let's pause and reflect on the human cost of neonatal deaths. Because behind every baby that dies, there's a grieving family, a life cut too short. The notorious dictator, Joseph Stalin, said, a single death is a tragedy, but 1 million deaths becomes what? A statistic. It calls to mind the popular Igbo adage, "Eburu ozu onye ọzọ, ọ dịka gịnị?" This captures the concept of psychic numbing or compassion fatigue, simply the emotional disconnection we experience as deaths keep increasing. It is easier to mourn the death of one child than to mourn the death of 180,000 children. For the simple reason, my brothers and sisters, that the human mind lacks the muscles for totality or the infinite. We simply don't have that capacity. But we can grow these muscles. We can grow compassion. We can change. We can restore value to the life of every baby. And by extension, every human being in this country. In Nigeria. So as we said earlier, let's look at leading causes of death in newborns. We identified in our study 3 major causes. There are so many others, but the 3 major ones: perinatal asphyxia, neonatal sepsis, and very low birth weight. And together, they account for over 80% of neonatal deaths. And these figures are important because they show us where to focus our resources and urgent interventions. What are the factors driving neonatal mortality? System gaps, maternal factors, socioeconomic barriers, environmental risks. And together, all these factors gather to give the perfect storm that threatens our newborns. From these studies we've done, these 4 studies, we identified 4 factors among so many others as contributors to neonatal mortality. Delays in accessing care occurred in 78% of cases in the first study. In the second study, mothers who knew just one newborn danger sign were 5 times more likely to seek timely care. In the third study, low birth weight newborns had a strong link or association with maternal conditions such as hypertension in pregnancy, antepartum hemorrhage, and mothers with these conditions are 3 to 7 times more likely to have low birth weight babies with all the associated problems. Finally, in the fourth study, we found that 97% of households face catastrophic health expenditure, leading to financial ruin or healthcare withdrawal. Something does not add up in this country. I will not go into that. We now arrive at the crossroads between the cradle of neonatal life and the crisis of pediatric emergencies, which put us under a lot of pressure. Like a traveler at an intersection, every child stands before possible paths, some leading to life, some leading to death, some to chronic illness, some to permanent disability. And key interventions like good nutrition, immunization can tip the balance in their favor. So we need to identify these causes. So we can start addressing them. Let's look at this graph. 1990, we stood at 213 deaths per thousand live births. We've dropped to 107 by the year 2023, and this reflects gains in immunization and maternal child health. But the progress, apparent progress, is slow. It's not enough. Projections give us 2030, 2050 that will drop to 88 and 52 deaths per thousand live births respectively. Meanwhile, in high-income countries, again, single-digit figures. Japan, Norway have under 5 mortality rates, less than 2 per thousand. Are we making progress? I don't think so. At 107 deaths per thousand live births, that means 1 child out of 9 will not live to see the age of 5. What are these killers of children in under 5? What are the common illnesses they suffer? Malaria, number 1. We used to say in those days that every 30 minutes or every 30 seconds, 1 child dies from malaria. That's shocking, but we live with it. Diarrhea, aphosis, pneumonia. Let's look at them individually. We did a study on severe falciparum malaria in children in Enugu. We found that 66% of severe malaria cases occur in children under 5. These were common complications we identified. Anemia, prostration, baby can't move, respiratory distress. And only 22% of the caregivers brought their children to the hospital within 48 hours. I must stress this point. Common malaria can kill within 18 hours from start of first symptoms to the end. Let me dramatize it. You can say goodbye to a child in the morning, and you don't do something, you come back by 6 p.m. and that child is dead from common malaria. Let's look also at pneumonia, another major cause of illness and death in children under 5. In our communities, Igbo communities, we call it what? Oyi. Oyi means cold weather. This leads to a serious misunderstanding that cold weather is a cause, not a risk factor of pneumonia. And this misconception leads many caregivers to apply local remedies, buy dye and miracle, apply aboniki, all sorts of menthol balms and so on. You will get some temporary relief, but it does not address the cause of pneumonia, which is either a viral or bacterial infection. Over time, that child will definitely get worse, and by the time he gets to the hospital, it's too late. So we need to address community awareness programs, we need to support vaccination, we need to expand access to oxygen therapy and other things. This other study looked at caregiver awareness and response to pneumonia. We found that 95% had heard of pneumonia, but only 4% knew of its cause. A lot recognized some symptoms like fast breathing, but only a few could identify critical signs like chest indrawing. That's the skin between ribs, under the ribs, moving inwards as the baby is breathing. If you ever see a child, whether it's yours or not, anywhere, breathing that way, please get the child sent to the hospital. These are pictures we took during the data collection phase of that study. We found that there was a lot of enthusiasm in the village we went to. The mothers were so enthusiastic, they were willing to share their experiences, they wanted to learn, and we realized the importance of grassroots involvement and engagement in championing child health outcomes. Unfortunately, we can't make such visits anymore for security reasons. I don't need to expand on that. Another contributor to illness in children under 5 is diarrhea, strongly linked with wash deficiencies, water, sanitation, and hygiene. We got a case fatality rate, that's those with diarrhea that got to the hospital, 12% of them died. Common abnormalities we detected in this study, all these electrolyte derangements, particularly was in malnourished children, and these are strong predictors of death. Alarmingly, 60% of these babies with diarrhea got to the hospital dehydrated. Again, we need to emphasize the need for prompt visits to the hospital, and any child that is stooling, please give some oral rehydration solution. We have seen so many deaths that could have been prevented by presenting early to the hospital. I won't discuss them here, but I'll discuss one or two to illustrate the hidden cost of delayed presentation. We had this 15-year-old with sickle cell anemia, had a common complication, developed a lung ulcer, which unfortunately progressed to gangrene because the parents kept taking him to a nearby pharmacy for daily dressing. What was being used, I don't know. By the time he got to us in the hospital, there was only one option, that is surgery to amputate the limb. Even at that point, consent was delayed or not given by the parents for financial reasons and other issues. Until we gave assurance of financial support, they now gave consent. The surgery was successful. The boy was so happy to be alive, and he even told me he's going to be a doctor. But he has lost a limb, something that could have been prevented. Viewer discretion is our advice for the next slide, but it is for emphasis. Within 4 days, the gangrene spread from just above the ankle. I hope you can see the pointer. Just above the ankle, progressed in 4 days while we were debating with them, please allow us to operate, and got to the knee. That stump is what was left. This illustrates the reality of what delayed care looks like. Let's look at another case quickly. Dandy Walker variant, that's a big name for a cyst somewhere in the back of the brain. We had this 11-year-old boy. He had been suffering symptoms for months, getting all sorts of treatment. By the time he got to us, he had uncontrollable seizures, uncontrollable hypertension. The boy could not see, and naturally he couldn't walk. Luckily, my classmate, Professor Chikane, a neurosurgeon, I don't know if he's here, we worked together, cut through a lot of red tape, and the surgery was successful. All the symptoms resolved except the blindness, because permanent, irreparable damage had been done to the optic nerve by the pressure effect. This emphasizes another problem we have, lack of access to neurosurgical care. And this was discussed extensively by Professor Ndubisi during his inaugural in December. Now we've moved from the cradle, the beginning of life, we've moved past the midpoint crossroads, and we've arrived at the crisis of emergencies, which push us to the limits of time, scale, and resources. These emergencies are varied and all equally urgent to the caregivers. Somebody can come with mosquito bites and still demand that you see his child before someone whose skull was split into two. we have to deal with all those pressures. Cases range from severe asthma, sepsis, and so on. And these challenges are worsened by overcrowding in our emergency rooms, lack of equipment, shortage of manpower, and so on. Let's look at leading causes of emergencies from two major centers in Enugu, ESUT and UNTH. The top 4 leading causes were common to both centers. What do we have? Malaria, acute gastroenteritis, pneumonia, sepsis. The same pattern in 2 different centers. Of course, with varying patterns, probably influenced by referral pathways, community disease patterns, or institutional differences. We also looked at the case fatality rates between the 2 centers. Sepsis was number 1, both centers. Some years ago, we used to get complaints. Why must everything that comes to the chair be sepsis? This is the reality. Other conditions had lower case fatality rates in UNTH compared to ESUT. The data supports the need for targeted interventions to improve emergency care for our children. While infectious diseases dominate data in the centers, they don't tell the full story. Critical diagnoses of particular interest to me, like SID, sudden infant death syndrome, PRES, posterior reversible encephalopathy syndrome, and BID, brought-in death. These are things that are underreported and ignored. And the lack of data about these conditions distorts our understanding of the real burden of mortality and causes in our environment, and naturally skews our intervention priorities. So we need broader surveillance to capture the full range of these diagnoses, both clinical and unexplained. Let's look at BIDs. In our study, we found that they represented only 2.2% of admissions, and they made a shocking 43% of total deaths. Our verbal autopsies indicated that sepsis, diarrhea, anemia were responsible most likely for these deaths. And not one of the children from our records was referred, meaning that there was no formal medical care before they died. This exposes huge gaps in recognition of these conditions at community level. Something has to be done. While BID cases, that's brought-in dead cases, exposed major gaps in recognition and access, our audits showed no documented cases of sudden infant death syndrome or PRES, posterior reversible encephalopathy syndrome. This does not mean they don't occur. It simply means we don't have the diagnostic capacity. Lack of autopsies, for instance, amongst other ancillary investigations that even extend to police making investigations and so on, it hinders the diagnosis of sudden infant death syndrome. And this condition is simply associated with putting babies to sleep in the prone position. That is, nibe wanafo, olarola, putting them to sleep on their bellies or on the chests. Over millennia, people have noticed that you sleep deeply when you're lying on your tummy. It kills babies. The famous baby clothes reference, 2 women who were fighting over one child. Who did they go to? King who? Solomon. One mother, Dabumuya Nabani, and all Mumuya. I will not go into the rest of the story. What killed that baby in the Bible was SIDS. And this explains the campaign slogans, back to sleep, safe sleep campaigns, that have been employed by high-income countries, Europe, North America, to drastically drop the occurrence of SIDS deaths. So many babies are dying in our environment. We are not even aware. It's not captured in our data. Similarly, PRES, posterior reversible encephalopathy syndrome, is associated with conditions we see every day in the emergency room. Sepsis. Remember what was #1 killer in sepsis? Both centers is strongly associated with sepsis, hypertension. But we can't make the diagnosis because of poor access to neuroimaging studies. These diagnostic blind spots highlight the urgent need for us to review capacity and increase awareness amongst clinicians, and researchers. What are the factors contributing to morbidity and mortality in emergency departments? We have medical issues often worsened by, whenever anybody gets up, I wonder whether Professor Zami has sent me a note. Medical factors, issues worsened by systemic problems like shortage of staff, socioeconomic constraints that lead to late presentation, and so on. Let's look at systemic failures that contribute to poor outcomes in emergency care. During the COVID pandemic, we witnessed a 40% drop in admissions and, paradoxically, an increase in mortality. This happened because caregivers were afraid to come to the hospital. They were afraid of catching COVID. They were afraid of either getting arrested and locked away in isolation rooms and getting abandoned. There was so much poor messaging. People were drinking bleach. People were drinking all sorts of things. And there was movement restrictions without providing adequate ambulance services. Hopefully, with the lessons learned, we can handle the next pandemic. It's not enough to say, God forbid, it will not happen. Things will happen. But we need to be prepared. Just like this morning, everybody in the LOC committee was telling me, it will not rain. It will never rain. Don't worry, have faith. Of course, you go. But I ask God to let rain fall today so that you'll be very cool, enjoy natural AC in this auditorium. Another example of systemic failure contributes to poor outcomes in emergency care is physician burnout syndrome and its first cousin, brain drain, JAPA syndrome. We found in our study that 63% of resident doctors across Nigeria, this was an extensive study, all have features of, all suffer from physician burnout syndrome. Common examples, common symptoms, emotional, yes, I know. I'm doing good time here. Emotional exhaustion, personalization, depersonalization, and these affect the quality of care for our children. Brain drain, JAPA syndrome, leads to physician burnout syndrome and even worsens it. For the simple reason as more people go, the ones that remain face more pressure. We need to address these issues with improved work conditions. We need to provide mentorship. We need mental health support. Another thing that is ignored, mental health. Another cultural belief, a cultural belief that contributes to poor outcomes in emergency care is isi dada, right? Dreadlocks. We found that 45% of caregivers believe it's linked to supernatural causes, and families prefer help from traditional healers, and they will reject care from us in the hospital. For instance, a baby that may need the hair shaved so he can get venous access to save the life, maybe a child in shock or whatever. Other things may fail. Shave the hair, you get venous access. The parents will say no. You know, they're between the devil and the deep blue sea. Anyway, so this child in the picture came to us malnourished. The parents attributed the problem to isi dada. And so many of our malnourished children go through the gamut of nlacha, and get very dangerous treatments from areas in Enugu I will not mention. When they are now about to die, they rush to the emergency room. Luckily, we caught this child early. With nutritional rehabilitation, it got better. So we need culturally sensitive education, especially to our mothers. Now, this brings us to section 2, the relatively significant progress we've made despite limited resources. These improvements are a reflection of policy reforms and medical innovation, driven by our resilient and ever hardworking and suffering healthcare workers. We need to shift focus to sustainable collaboration, and we need to scale up innovation and pursue systemic change. An example of sustaining collaboration that has led to expansion of neonatal services, is sustained collaboration. Before the 90s, before the 70s, sick newborns were often handled outside the formal health system. Now, level 2 care in most tertiary centers has improved neonatal outcomes, and efforts are being made to establish functional level 3 care in teaching hospitals. Emphasis on the word functional. It's not enough to buy equipment and dump them in a room. Importantly, neonatal guidelines are now standardizing treatment protocols and improving outcomes for us. Compared to neonatology, pediatric emergency medicine is still a growing specialty in Nigeria. Historically, emergency cases were treated in general pediatric wards, but now at least 50% of emergency units are led by consultant pediatricians, but services still remain concentrated in tertiary hospitals in the urban regions. But with recent advocacy by PAN, we are seeing reforms in funding, protocol standardization, and training programs. Recently, UNTH sponsored 5 consultants, and I think more are even on the way, to South Africa for a fellowship program in critical care and pediatric emergency medicine. We hope that with this, we can build a critical mass of specialists for domestication of the program. What's the impact of training and capacity in pediatric emergency medicine? It will boost quality of care, undergraduate and postgraduate curricula. My Oga, welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Undergraduate and postgraduate curricula will be strengthened, clinical competencies can be improved, but these gains need to be sustained by reinvestment. Let's look at fruits of sustaining collaboration: neonatal resuscitation program, helping babies breathe, essential newborn care, kangaroo mother care.
Let's welcome the able Vice Chancellor of this great institution, distinguished Professor Aloysius Michaels Okole. You are welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome, VC. Prof, you must add at least 5 minutes. So we're done with this slide. We won't go into details. These are pictures we took sometime in 2012. We had just completed national level certification in neonatal resuscitation training, and we're determined, by we I mean my friend Professor Zilo and Shinobi, we're determined to step down the little knowledge we had gained to our colleagues. Unfortunately, most of the doctors you're seeing in these pictures have done JAPA, but that's a story for another day. Pediatric emergency medicine has also advanced through targeted capacity building programs like PALS, APLS, SATS, and ETAT+. They improve outcomes by promoting early recognition of problems and intervention. But early recognition cannot work if these babies are not brought to us in the hospital. This is another picture that captured our first PALS training in our center in ESUT. The experience helped us to begin building capacity from ground up in pediatric emergency training. Unfortunately, this program is very expensive, and it was self-sponsored by all of us there. We didn't get any support financially. And it is still expensive till today, despite heavy subsidies by American Heart Association and so on. And this program is essential for doctors and even medical students. But we can't afford it. Because you should get recertification every 2 years. After I did the first one, got recertification, I stopped. I can't afford it anymore. Not to talk of residents, medical students. Scaling innovation has also led to progress despite pressure, and these are innovative tools transforming pediatric care delivery in the country. Portable technologies like handheld devices, pulse oximeters, POCUS, point of care ultrasound, AEDs, and so on. They help us make diagnosis by the bedside. Locally adapted innovations like low-cost CPAP machines, LED phototherapy, improve outcomes for our newborns. These tools are available everywhere, but unfortunately, High cost is prohibiting accessibility in low resource settings. Let's look at an example. That's a tiny device, a glucometer. It's an example of point of care testing, especially where lab access is not available or delayed. And it can help us make important clinical decisions that can be life-saving. In our study, we identified hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia as critical risk factors for death or mortality in critically ill children. So if we use this little device, we can detect blood sugar abnormalities quickly and prevent complications like seizures or lapsing into coma or even progressing to death. This brings us to section 3. We're almost done. Charting the future. For our children to step over these barriers we talked about earlier, man-made barriers mostly, we need to shift from reflection and speaking grammar to what? Strategic action. Moving around doesn't mean you're taking effective action. Strategic action in order for us to drive measurable changes. And to do this, we must apply emerging tools, emerging technologies, apply the results of research, and implement sustainable policies. The business of healthcare is too serious to be left to government alone. Government cannot do everything. So at this stage in my career, I'm deeply committed to sustaining pediatric progress in Nigeria, whether through advocacy, research, or institutional leadership. So in this final section, we just look at some things I've done, things I intend to do that could change the future of child health in Nigeria. We start with emerging tools, emerging technology, specifically AI. Artificial intelligence is no longer science fiction. It's not futuristic. It is here with us now. And it's transforming healthcare in resource-limited settings, particularly where pediatricians and neonatologists are in short supply. So AI is helping us bridge the gap. Despite doomsday theories that always accompany disruptive technology, AI is not here to take my job or your job. It's simply here to ensure that every child, regardless of geography, has access to informed care. We've taken the NUA tape we talked about earlier, and we have pushed further its potential by collaborating with Alpha Angle Group, an American consultancy specializing in AI-driven healthcare innovations. You can visit the website there, alphaangle.us, and together we are feeding our validated clinical data into a machine learning model that can help us predict complications and support real-time decisions. In essence, what am I saying? We will get a free app you can install on your phone, snap a picture of a baby once it's born, and get instant feedback about its birth weight and the next step to take. This is a local innovation that we are evolving in. Calm down, I'm trying to meet Prof's time. We've taken this little innovation and we're evolving it into a global digital health tool. Another enabler of change is policy reforms. We've done a lot of studies to look into issues that need policy reforms. For want of time, I'm not going to go into all the details. But child care safety laws, low utilization of pediatric autopsies. Our mindset has to change about autopsies in Nigeria. Sudden infant death syndrome awareness, we've talked about that earlier. Use of hypertonic saline in emergency rooms. I'm ahead of time, don't worry. And availability, this may be a big cultural shock that may take time to sit in, but we need to start addressing it. Availability of breast milk banks. In the interest of time, let's just look at child care safety laws. The evidence is overwhelming that child care restraints will reduce pediatric deaths in road crashes. But only 59% of parents in Enugu even agree that they even have a car seat. And most of them misuse the car seats. Alarmingly, lap-holding infants. I hope we can see the, can you see what I'm pointing at? Alarmingly, lap-holding is common. What do I mean by lap-holding? Junior is crying, Junior Nebakwa. Let's take Junior for what? A ride. And you see adults carrying children behind the car, still, and driving in traffic. Hey, in the words of my Oga Alome, this is a low-hanging fruit that could save countless lives. And if we are serious about child survival, we can implement this. Recommendations to address this problem: ban lap holding, front seat travel for children under 12, which is actually in the law. We have thousands of laws in this country, but what is the problem? Implement the law. Even adults now will still fight for adults to put on seatbelts. Then you carry a precious child. There be an irumoto. We need to launch national awareness campaigns, provide subsidized car seat restraints, and so on, and ensure the laws are implemented with routine checks and meaningful penalties. Community engagement is another vital enabler of change. In this picture, I was giving school teachers at Hill Range School training in basic first aid, equipping them with practical knowledge that could make the difference in an emergency. Somebody's choking to death on an aquarium mirinisi. No, there are simple things to do and get out the object immediately. Another example of community engagement is use of media like radio. I hosted a program on FRCN once and about diarrhea and recognizing signs of dehydration. Recall, we said earlier that 60% of children with diarrhea get to us already dehydrated. It is terrible. If nothing else, please take away the fact that if a child is stooling, near oral rehydration solution. It's available everywhere now. If you can't buy it, mix salt and sugar in the right proportion and get the child to the hospital. A child. What will kill the child is what? Dehydration. If the child likes 1 million times, as far as you are replacing the fluid, nothing will happen. So I recognize now the powerful role media plays in health education, and going forward I intend to partner with the mass communication department of the university to amplify whatever messages I have through their different platforms. I've spoken with the head of the department and he has graciously agreed to work with me on that. For my future research, I intend to explore integrating gene therapy into pediatric education and practice, because gene therapy is the future of medicine that is yet to be robustly integrated into medical education in Nigeria. So my future research shall aim to bridge this gap and prepare pediatricians of the future to deliver advanced genetic care. Key take-home messages. I hope I'm making good time. We're about to finish. Leading causes of childhood deaths are still with us. Demand urgent and sustained action, not just grammar, like I'm doing now. But on Wednesday, my life from now will be dedicated to advocating for the Nigerian child. Progress is possible. We must bridge the gaps in care. The future of pediatrics lies in research and emerging technologies. Policies and funding must ensure these advances are delivered ethically, affordably, and sustainably, especially for the vulnerable. In conclusion, this lecture has traced the Nigerian child's journey from the cradle to crisis, where high mortality rates still persist in newborns and under 5s. Innovations, policy, and research still offer hope. Progress is possible. Even under pressure, we must act urgently, together, sustainably, so that, hopefully, the Nigerian child shall no longer move from cradle to crisis, but from the cradle to confidence. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah? I did it in 1 hour, sir. Eh? I know, yes, I know. That's at least the lecture 1 hour start. Okay, so let's proceed with the second stage. I dedicate this lecture to my children, Akum, Nana, Namtochukwu, whose every heartbeat gives meaning to mine. Special thanks to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Michael Aloysius Okolie, the Vice Chancellor of this university. I particularly thank you, sir, for your inspiring words to me when you said, do not just hold the title of professor, truly profess through impact, relevance, and service. Thank you, sir, for believing in me. My sincere appreciation to Professor Ezame, Chairman, Inaugural Lectures Committee, for his meticulous planning. I also thank all the members of the committee for their steadfast support and commitment to the success of this occasion. Thank you all. I honor the memory of my father, late Dr. Polycarp Undo, whose legacy of scholarly excellence inspired me at the age of 5 to declare, I want to be a professor when I grow up. But I had no idea what would be involved then. For this slide, I asked God to grant me the grace to deliver it appropriately. I particularly asked him not to allow me to start crying. So if I cry, you people should calm me down. I'm grateful to my mother, Mrs. Alice Sindo, who raised her 4 children with unwavering faith in God. Mommy, I love you if you're watching this video. And if you permit me, if you could support me, there's a song I want to sing for her with your support. I have a terrible voice, but please. Obu onye ga-abụ mama. Obu onye ga-abụ mama. Nne m ihe dị mma ka m ga-emere gị o. Onye ọ ga-adịrị mma. Nne m ihe ga-eme ga-emere gị o. Doctor onye mụrụ ya. Professor onye mụrụ ya. Ịdị mma ka m ga-emere gị o. Before Prof gives me another note. Thank you so much for your support. Mommy, I love you if you're watching this video. I appreciate my siblings, Ijo Ibo, Akika Adibo, and Obibo Obi for enduring my idiosyncrasies with patience and love. I love you all. To my extended family members, they are here. Thank you so much for your support. In memory of my late uncle, Dr. Max Zike, who inspired me to study medicine. God bless you. My early teachers, primary school, secondary school, especially our late principal, late ICJ, Adiwe, and was an exemplary administrator. I believe one of my secondary school teachers is also here. I saw him coming. Oga, can you rise for a second? Yes. Barrister Akabogo. For want of time, I will not tell you some stories of what he did to us in secondary school. God bless you, sir. I appreciate your presence. My classmates at the University of Nigeria, where I earned my MBBS degree, I hold you all in high regard. Some of us are with me in ESUT here. Sam, where are you? Oh, hi. He's not here. Susie, you're correct. Thank you so much. My classmates from secondary school. Ifoma. Is Ifoma here? If you're ahead, you would have been in trouble if I didn't see you. One year also from our class. Yeah. No, oh, Nagonun. The gym has gone, yes. I must make special mention of my roommates, the Secretary General of West African College of Surgeons, Professor Fred Ugumba. Then Obi Ume, who from day one in medical school told us that once he has gotten all the certificates in medicine, he will hang his stethoscope and make money. He's in the United States and he's unavoidably absent. These guys made sure I did not go astray in medical school. To my residency teachers, I give my deepest respect. They were outstanding role models and made me who I am today. Professor S.N. Ileje, I was shocked when I saw him here. He left so many things to attend this meeting. Emeritus Professor Ibe, he was here before me. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. My university school father, Professor Obidike, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you, sir. And the Ochiara one of residency, Professor Tabu Ogono. I still shiver. I still shiver when I see this man. Professor Ikefuna, I'm not sure he's here. Professor Emode, my big auntie, Professor Kafo, thank you so much, madam. And so on, so many other people. My senior residents, when I was in training, they are mostly all professors now. I thank you all for shaping us into the people we are now. And all my fellow residents, I thank you for creating the stimulating environment that pushed us to excel. Is Professor Chinawa here? No. Is he here? If he was here, I would have told you. This guy used to wake up by 3 a.m. to submit his mortality report before my own, so that he will present first in the meeting. Special mention to my mentors, past and present, because we keep learning. Professor Kundo Bidike, mentioned already, he lifted me at my lowest moments as a junior resident. He took me by the arm and said, let's move. Professor B.D.B., he may not remember that I went to him one day crying, "Oga, how can somebody do this program now?" I said, "We can go and apply yourself." I went home so bitter. No, wait. I was bitter. I went home. I said, this man should tell me which books to read and the code, the secret code for doing this thing. He just said, "Apply yourself," and walked off. It took me years to see the wisdom in what he told me. Thank you so much, sir. Professor Tabu Ogono instilled in us the ethic of going the extra mile. Hi, this man. You know, today is my day, sir, so I must say this, I must tell this story. I'm almost done, please. I must tell this story. Eh? Oga, don't vex, don't give me a query. I came late to work one day. This man said, "Ndo, you're late." I said, "The only reason that you can give me that I will accept is that on your way to work, you know the express to UNTH, that on your way to work, you had an accident and again died in the accident." Sorry, sir. I can never forget that day. Can I get money at the accident? Then, you know. But you see, again, those words shaped me into the person I am. Professor Ike Funa, unavoidably absent, he taught us humility. One day he told us in a room that a resident, for you to succeed, you must consider yourself what? A footman, a doormat, yes. Professor Ngozi Beziako, unavoidably absent. She encouraged me, particularly during my dissertation and through so many struggles. Professor Sam Uwezoke sent his regrets. He started mentoring me from medical school, and we are friends till today. Gratitude to the college leadership, my dear friend, Professor Kochi, the provost of the college, and the 47th inaugural, 46th inaugural lecturer. My immediate past provost, the father of the college, Professor Ezugu. My immediate boss, Professor Okafor, the Dean, Faculty of Clinical Medicine. He's a trailblazer. He gave the first lecture in this faculty, inaugural lecture. Gratitude to Professor Eze. This man had so much belief in me during my appraisal for the position of reader. Thank you so much, and I'm so happy that you're here, sir. My colleagues in the Department of Pediatrics, I love you all. We are one family. My HOD, Obinna, I appreciate everything you've done to support us. Professor Ileje, our elder statesman in the department. Dr. Keke, I don't know if she's here. She was the head of department when I started, and she welcomed me into the department. Professor Oga Amade, the Chief Medical Advisory, CMAC, Chairman Medical Advisory Committee, a dynamic CMAC, she should be here. I must make mention of Matrons Izundu and Matron Abo. Are they here? I must mention them. They were heads of newborn units and emergency units at different times. Why am I particularly mentioning these ladies? I have, surprisingly, even to myself, I have a little bit of a short fuse, and the emergency room is a toxic mixture of stress and all sorts of things. You may see yourself exchanging blows with parents to get them to do the right thing sometimes. And these ladies transformed me, hopefully, into a calmer and more patient pediatrician. In loving memory of the pillars of our department, I honor the memory of Dr. Ejiko Buoha, late Professor Zubike. They were towering figures in our department and laid the foundation of excellence and compassion. My colleagues, Professor Ubesie, Keneilo, I think he's here, but at least if he's not here, his wife. Ogo, where I take a bow for your Ghana. My dean, Professor Kafo, Chika, Ndubisi, where very good. And there's so many other people. Louis Sokoli, where are you? These are guys that really, really supported me and made sure I delivered this lecture. I shy away from stress so much. They said, you must do this thing, my friend. The ESUT leadership, I appreciate the current CMD of the teaching hospital, Professor Ngu, the past CMDs, Professor Ona Njeze, and others for fostering an academic and professional environment. I acknowledge His Royal Highness, Sir Thomas Ayobidiogu, Oluwaha the 17th and clan head of Ihiala, unavoidably absent. My kinsmen and the greater Ihiala community. Ihiala Pun! Particularly the IPU Enugu branch, I thank you for your support and understanding, because I'm always unavailable at meetings. Meeting today. Thank you so much. To my parish priest, Father Ben, who is unavoidably absent, but Father Clement Okonkwo, the chaplain of St. Rita's is here, and my brother, Reverend Father Desmond Ebule. Please take a bow. In the village, if you see my house here, see his house. a stone throw away. I appreciate the planning committee. I can't say enough here to express my gratitude. We will see you later. The chairman, Dr. Shinobi, and the co-chair, J.O. Tionya. I love you guys. Thank you so much. To my students, you are the future of medicine. It's been a privilege to be part of your academic journey. Your passion inspires me and keeps pushing me to do the best I can. Finally, I know there are so many people, so many names I have omitted, not intentionally. Permit me to summarize or paraphrase the words of St. John in his gospel. There are so many others who have shaped me into who I am today. Were each one to be mentioned, I suppose the world itself could not contain the books that will be written. Thank you all. And God bless you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, distinguished Professor Ikenna Kingsley Ndo. That's wonderful. Thank you. You may sit down. The able Vice Chancellor of this great institution, a man that came and saw and is transforming to conquer. Distinguished Professor Aloysius Michael Nabugo Okole, we welcome you once again. With your kind permission, may I recognize the former Dean and former Provost, College of Agriculture, Ishago in Ebonyi State, distinguished Professor J.U. Mbada. And of course, the Director of Academic Planning, distinguished Professor Chike Anibeze, we acknowledge you. Thank you. Equally permit me to acknowledge the presence of the former board member, Federal Aviation Authority, and the incumbent special advisor to the minority whip in the Senate. I welcome you, Honorable Sarah Fonovo. And of course, we have the presence of the CIMAC ESUT Park Lane, Professor O.F. Amade. We acknowledge you. You are the mother of Pediatrics Department, ESUT Park Lane. We welcome you. And of course, we have the renowned pediatrician and a cardiologist in UNN. We welcome you, Professor E.O. Obidike. No. You are a mentor to Professor Ndo. We acknowledge that. Professor Tabo Ogwa Ono, we acknowledge your presence. And of course, you are in charge of pediatrics emergency unit at UNTH Enugu, and you are the pioneer head of children emergency unit. We acknowledge you. No, oh, thank you. The above Vice Chancellor, with your kind permission, may I now invite the chairman of the inaugural lecture committee, ESUT, Professor MOVN Ezameni, to make his presentations. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to stand on the established protocols to make this presentation. We are happy that we have gotten another distinguished professor. And I'm promising Professor Ondo, before 94s, I will include your name in platform of ESUT distinguished professors. This is 6th distinguished professor in College of Medicine, ESUT. So we are happy they are rising. So let me call upon the most current distinguished professor in the whole world, the most current, Professor Kingsley Ikenandu, to come forward. On behalf of the Governing Council, the management, and the Senate of ESUT, I present 50 copies of this lecture to you to use after this celebration. Congratulations. Also, we have certificate for you as an evidence that you are now a distinguished professor, according to our DVC, professor with a capital P. Yes. On behalf of our management and the Senate and Council, I give you this certificate as a recognition that you have presented 47th inaugural lecture of this university. Congratulations. So our university is coming again. This is a plaque. When you keep it in your living room, anybody coming, citing it, you say, this man is a distinguished professor. So you open it yourself and look what is inside. Open it, open it. Congratulations. Okay, you can sit down. I think permit me, Mr. Vice Chancellor, today is a special occasion because one of the things when we were starting in the university, they say publish or perish. Publish or perish. So if you don't publish, if you enter as an assistant lecturer, you will stay as an assistant lecturer until you retire. If you enter as a lecturer 2, you stay as a lecturer 2 until you retire. But when you publish, you continue to grow until you become professor. So, in furtherance of that, Professor Ikenandu has new book to unveil. Still, after being professor, he's still professing in writing. I call upon our talk and do Vice Chancellor, Professor Okolie Michaels Nnabugu, to come and unveil it. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir.
Chairman, I don't know what I will unveil. I need to have information. Whatever I'm going to unveil, let me invite Professor Obidike to join us. The distinguished inaugural lecturer, the newest, should join us. Principal officers and our council member here, Professor Ikenna Chukwu, should please join us. Our immediate past Vice Chancellor should join us. Professor Eze. Then the oldest inaugural lecturer. Please, I don't know the oldest though. The oldest should join us. But if you're unable to cast your vote to no, no, oldest inaugural lecturer, there's no bifurcation. Oldest inaugural lecturer, come up. Okay. As we are gathering, please permit me to appreciate one great man here. I don't know whether it's from Ihiala or from any other place, but I'm surprised that I'm seeing somebody that has a lot of money. A former dean, a former dat in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And the name is Obi Nwerego. Obi Nwerego. I'm happy. Please join us here, please. I'm happy to see you here. He was an intellectual colossus and somebody that had been standing for the poor, for the needy, for the marginalized in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. That's why if he contested election anywhere then, he just unopposed. And when he left, that faculty had not recovered. That's the only bad thing there. Please come up. Come up. Okay, your father's classmate. They say you are the father's classmate. Come up. No, you'll be seen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Anywhere Obi Nwerego attends a ceremony, the celebrant is sure of a lot of money. Okay, I thank, yes.
And if I may quote, St. Ephraim the Syrian, he said, whatever you do, seal it with the sign of the cross and teach your children to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have just spoken the mind of Professor Udenta. Every person the Udenta will do sign of the cross almost every second. I appreciate all of you that attended this event. I apologize for coming late. We were at the state function celebrating Mass for Democracy Day. And they just rushed to Opera Square. I said, let me rush to college. So you're welcome to ESUT. You're welcome to our college. This is just the beginning of greater things to happen in our university. What we're about to do is very significant. We are now adding that it is not just being a distinguished professor or inaugural lecturer, but you must demonstrate capacity for mentorship. That is why, since we came 2022, if you retire without leaving any mark, you will never come back for adjunct or for sabbatical, so that you don't pollute the system the more. It's only when we discover that you created a lot of values, implanted it in the system, that will beg you, don't apply. If you apply, we're not going to approve. We are the people to know you when you are leaving, then we beg you to come. Don't write, we're not going to approve. We'll beg you. If there are nothing to create, if you tell us that there was nobody that will teach your course, that's the more reason why you should not be seen around the premises when you retire. which means you didn't recycle yourself. You didn't create anybody. You're a bad influence to the system. I've left the University of Nigeria temporarily. My boys are doing the work. They are doing the work. So who are your own boys? Who are your own ladies? If you don't have it, you are just a machinery. Try to think every day about the value you are going to create. Think about the people you are teaching. Think about what they will say about you. When you are somewhere, we don't ever remember you. Babangida was seated in his office and he sent for his teacher. The teacher didn't call him. He sent for his teacher and made him the person he is today. Can anybody send for you? Can anybody send for me? That is a food for thought. Please, we must take it home. This world, we owe ourselves something. 6 feet. When we are going, are people going to be jubilating and saying it's a good riddance? Or are people going to regret your absence? Reflect every day. Money is not everything. Merchandising is not everything. But what you are going to create is what you are doing today by bringing people that didn't pay consultancy fee to listen to what they should do at the college. Anytime we have inaugural lecture at the college, we are coming to have free lectures, medical lectures without paying consultancy fee, consultation. Just go to any of their clinics now. This man you see, you won't even see him until you pay to see him. Today, the payment we are going to do today to him is to listen to him free of charge. And I believe we have learned a lot from what he has delivered. Today, now we are going to just perform one important function. Because if I keep on talking, my registrar will accuse me of starting another inaugural lecture. What we'll have here, we'll have a book, a clinical guide to pediatric emergency review, which means a clinical guide to pediatric, then is emergency review. It's when we open it and read it that we know whether there is anything emergency in the emergency review. It has started with cradle to crisis and ended up probably from crisis to stability. So we thank you so much for this. We are going to unveil this. I forgot to ask the CMD to come up. Please join us. It's a big omission. I would have asked you to come up. Please come up. You are the state chairman. Come up so that you don't accuse us of alienation. You start sending people to come and monitor a lot of things here. So everybody must not be here. All the people that are here are representing legs of everybody that are here. So we thank you. Today is a joyous day. It is a day we are talking about Democracy Day, and it is a day rain showered us with blessings. As we unveil this book will multiply our blessings. Our come, Ndo, we're always running. I don't know. Unless if you are not too sure of the content. So we are going to unveil this by cutting this tape, by praying to the Almighty God. When I mention Jesus, spelling Jesus, we cut it. We cut it, even though I have the scissors. Nobody should push me to cut it before that. J, E, S, U, and S. Jesus. Sorry, we are not going to sit down without seeing the book. That's number one. Number two, after I will have private meeting with Professor Ndo, he came here and started singing what I will call a one-sided song. And I saw women all happy, clapping. But I'm a father, I'm a man, so we are complaining. We are complaining. When we meet, you sing the one for males. Provost, you. You announce it. Announcement, please.
Thank you once more for your kind attention. Whatever proceeds we make from the sale of this book will go to a charity, an NGO run by a former student of ESUCOM, Dr. Neche. Are you here? If you're here, just raise your hand. Where is she? Well, announce the name of that church.
Okay, the organization is Nature Care Foundation. Our interest is in indigent children. We pay their school fees, get their school materials, pay hospital bills as much as we can. Thank you.
So please take as many copies as you can to support our NGO that is taking care of our children. I talked about advocacy on Wednesday House on Naro now, advocating for Nigerian children.
I have forgotten how to do protocols, but I'm going to stand on the existing one. But I'm going to mention the Vice Chancellor of Enugu State University of Science and Technology. I may not remember all his other names, but I know one of them is Aloysius. I know another one is Okoli. If you come to the University of Nigeria, another one is Professor. Another one is Vice Chancellor. Now, if you come to the University of Nigeria, my name is Professor Ignatius Ugudike Obi. If you come there and you are looking for me, and you say these names I have just mentioned, they will not know who you are talking about. But immediately you say, Obinwanego. A little baby will bring you to my house. I tell you a joke. My son-in-law came from South Africa and went to the park to look for a taxi to bring him to Enugu Airport. So he said, immediately you pass the main gate, the next turn right. Another turn right, second house on the left. The driver said, is this very near Obinwanego's house? He said, I am the husband of his daughter. Just go home. So I don't have money, but this name started immediately I came back from America in 1975. I didn't come back with any money. The university brought me back. They came to my university and employed me and gave me a plane ticket that I held for 6 months when I graduated. So I came with nothing. But immediately I came, 2 weeks after, somebody started calling me that name. It created problem with me and my brother who trained me. Because he saw all the big portmanteaus I came from America. And then I gave him the first day he came 100 naira. And my salary was 400 naira with a PhD. That was my salary. So I gave him 1/3 of it, or 1/4 of my salary. After 2 months, when I now settled, he came and I gave him 20 naira. He refused. He said, because they are already calling me Obinwanego. Finally, while I'm wearing a red cap, there were young people who wanted to take other title. He went and borrowed money to make sure that I'm their senior. So when he came, yes, when he came to collect the loan, he found that I didn't have the money. We had to go to the bank. I told him, bank manager, may you give me an overdraft? And he did. So now my brother knew that I didn't have money. But when I now took the other title, he said, you must answer Obinwerego. And since then, God has not left me alone with money. I am now going to be a chief launcher here with my small money. After the chief launcher must have announced his own.
Okay. This is not a formal book launch. However, we are going to keep 10 copies in your library here and keep 10 down at Abani at 100,000 naira.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Before we invite for the vote of thanks, may I make these announcements. One, the reception for the Vice Chancellor and the principal officers at the Provost office. Professors at the boardroom. Then the following, we visit the community health arena. All the consultants, lecturers, friends, nurses, Ndi Hiala, ESUT community, ESUCOM community, we have a wonderful arena within the community health department. Thank you. The Able Vice Chancellor of this great institution, with their permission, may I now invite for the vote of thanks a professor of vocational teacher education. May I invite the 48th inaugural lecturer, Professor Ngozi Alio, to come and present the vote of thanks as we wait on 19th June 2025 at Pitamba Auditorium, Abani. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DMC. I want to join the protocol, but I will not fail to greet our Vice Chancellor, the moving Vice Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor that has honor. I mean, the chairman of this occasion and the chairman of the Senate. I'm talking about no other person but the Professor Aloysius Michael Nabu Okolie and the management, that you are welcome. I want to recognize the members of ESUT Governing Council present. I also want to recognize the professors, especially those who have presented the inaugural lecture. I want to talk about the chairman and the members of inaugural lecture committee. I want to talk about the distinguished ladies and gentlemen of this place. Thank you. I want to say the distinguished invitees, please, you are welcome. I want to tell you that not everybody can follow protocol, but I am learning how to do it because I know where I stand. You are welcome. I am here to do an assignment, and that assignment is just to give vote of thanks. I learned that if you want to appreciate people, that there's no other word, I even tried, that will give people the way one feels when something good has happened, except saying thank you. I want to say thank you to our Vice Chancellor and the Council, especially the Chairman of the Council, Pro-Chancellor, because of what they have been doing. I've been in this university for a long time, and the inaugural lecture was not coming as it is now. They have gingered us, motivated us, encouraged people, and everybody's on the queue. My Vice Chancellor, thank you very much. My standing here, I wouldn't have come, but his motivation, his encouragement, gave me the strength. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to talk about the inaugural lecturer who has just presented, Professor Ikenna Ndo. Thank you for your lecture. Thank you. You have an aura, just like a teacher, very funny. There was a talk, something I carried out on student participation, that if you want to be a good teacher, you must combine it with humor. I saw a great humor in you. Thank you for your lecture, and I believe that we are carrying out something. I will now want to tell you that ESUT has the 48th inaugural lecture that will be coming on the 19th of June, 2025, incidentally. The person giving the vote of honor, vote of thanks, will be presenting her inaugural lecture. Thank you very much. And I want to use this opportunity to tell you, I'm inviting you. Come and listen to me. Come and make it a date and come and listen. And you will be blessed. And there will be something. If you look at the topic and I want to talk about it, you will have self-reliance. Thank you very much. And may God bless you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let's appreciate her once again. Today is history, the 47th inaugural lecture of Enugu State University of Science and Technology. We appreciate you once again. With the kind permission of the Vice Chancellor, may I invite Reverend Father Ebwe to now lead us in the closing prayer. Reverend Father Ebwe. After the closing prayer, we are going to have the national anthem, and we are going to have the reception as listed before, and we are going to have the group photograph possibly outside. We are going to have the group photograph with the principal officers outside. Thank you. May we be on our feet for the closing prayer. Thank you.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Our help is in the name of the Lord. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you amongst women. Blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, Pray for us sinners. Heavenly Father, we thank you for having been with us all through this period, for the lecture, for the camaraderie. We pray as we depart, may you take us home safely, all to the glory of your name. We ask this to Christ our Lord. The Lord be with you. May Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Peace be with you.
National Anthem. Thank you. The procession will be in reverse order. Thank you. The Vice Chancellor and the Principal Officers will be at the Provost's office immediately after the group photograph at the photo stand outside. Thank you and God bless you. I still remain yours sincerely, Engineer Kingsley Obodna. Dalono. Thank you. All the professors, board room. Visit board room. All the professors. Thank you.